Chris, thanks for talking to us today. Perhaps you could start by telling us a bit about you and your background.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a fellow at the Strategic Planning Society, and I act as an advisor, helping organizations navigate the uncertainty and complexity of today's rapidly changing technology environment.
Oh, fantastic. So perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your work and how you've been using, I believe, artificial intelligence in the management consulting field.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about the work I've done recently, completely reinventing the management consulting business model, leveraging artificial intelligence technologies, natural language processing, neurolinguistics, sentiment analysis, emotion analysis, and a variety of other technical aspects of artificial intelligence.
Wow. So what drove you to be so passionate about using artificial intelligence in that particular field? What's behind that?
Yeah, I think two things. One, from a management consulting perspective, it's an industry that quite frankly is, they're out there telling all organizations, disrupt or die, go digital, automation is where it's at. But they themselves, it's always been a bit hypocritical, right? The industry hasn't changed for about 80 years since McKinsey really brought the industry into existence. And so it was an exciting time to say, how can we leverage technology to perhaps reimagine the way consulting services are being delivered?
So perhaps you could give us an example of how that technology is influencing consulting work.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a big part of management consulting is going out and talking to people within an organization. And that's done either through broad-based surveys where you can get really broad, so you can get a broad segment of the organization covered, but you can't go very deep. Then come the interviews, right? So the consultants are getting on planes, trains, and automobiles and going out and interviewing people so they can get really deep, but they can't get very broad. So it was a really interesting opportunity for technology to come in and augment that human interaction so that you can get very deep as well as broad in terms of an interview.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about how AI can replace human work in consulting. There's a kind of fear that AI will replace humans altogether. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think we find this narrative out with any new technology across literally thousands of years now. If you think back to some interesting quotes from Plato quoting Socrates at Phaedrus 500 BC, right? There was this big fear of this new technology that was just going to be the ruination of man and make their minds feeble and weak, and that technology was the stylus, right? So today with artificial intelligence, I don't subscribe to Stephen Hawking's view that AI will be the death of humanity and robots are going to take over the world. I think it's going to be more of an augmentation where technology can take some of the mundane, less value-added, repetitive tasks away from human beings and allow human beings to do what they do best, right? Really use their discernment, their keen sense of judgment and intuition, and a variety of those human qualities that machines just can't replace.
Well, that's an interesting take on it. So we've talked about the management consulting industry. What about other industries that could be disrupted by AI and technology?
Yeah, it's a really interesting time, right? So you think about artificial intelligence, right? And it's been around for 30 years, right? We were talking about it a lot today, but in the financial services industry, they've been using various aspects of AI for about 30 years now, since the late 80s, early 90s. And primarily it's been used for optimization, right? So cost efficiencies, margin expansion. And right now we're kind of on the cusp where organizations are leveraging it for new customer acquisition and retention. But eventually where organizations really need to be is they really need to embrace AI, not so much as a technology to be in the hands of the CIO or within marketing. It really needs to be a part of the C-suite strategy. Because if you're looking at it simply as an incremental bit of technology to add into your portfolio, I think organizations are really going to miss the boat.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today, and can't wait to see what you do next.
Great. Thank you.